Hey guys, it's HK Boba, and this is a question I see asked all the time. How am I supposed to rank up when my teammates are, well, doo-doo? Everyone here wants to embrace their inner Rocket League Chad they know they are, and carry your team to victory by hitting crazy shots like the Muffin Man himself. But realistically, you are more likely to see way better results if you learn to babysit your teammates with a really strong defensive game. Really try to help your teammates be the best they can be, and maybe don't suck as much. This video is going to be split into two parts. First, I'm going to give some general tips for solo queuing. Then we're going to take a look at common things bad teammates do and how to handle those sticky situations using the general tips. To get started with our first two tips, we have to ask ourselves, what is the most common occurrence in Rocket League? And if you read what was on the screen, I'm sure you could already guess, it's challenges. Challenges happen constantly in Rocket League. And for the first two tips, we're going to focus on how we can win every single challenge. And I'm not talking about at a micro level, if you're the one 50-50ing how we win those. Instead, let's talk about at a macro level. As a team, how can we win or control every 50-50 / challenge, even in solo queue? Stepping into our first tip, we need to lay down some ground rules or ideas to work with. I'll start by saying 50-50s are not random. Kickoffs are not random. They're definitely controllable, but we're going to be focusing on the big picture, so for the sake of this video, let's classify our challenges as proper 50-50s. So, how do we support our teammates' challenges? By no means do I mean double committing with him. Let's say he's about to get into a 50-50 at the X. Just generalizing here. Let's say a good 50-50 goes this way towards the enemy net, and a bad 50-50 goes towards our net. But what happens if you're behind your teammate, about a third of the field away? That loss becomes a win, right? Since it'll go straight to you, making this 50-50 actually a 100-0. And that's pretty much what we want to try to do every single time our teammate is about to go into a challenge. Now you might think, okay, yeah, that's obvious. Don't double commit and cover the areas behind your teammate. But we need to try to implement this tip across the board in places that might not be so obvious. Think about all the times you're off getting boost after a kickoff, leaving your teammate to 50-50 alone, especially when you lost the kickoff. Or when rotating from defense to offense when you think your teammate has possession of the ball, and you just let him get 50-50 and a free goal is scored. And why is taking a challenge alone so bad? Let's think about it this way. We often pass and center the ball, but very seldom do goals actually get scored on offensive pushes. This is because a solid defense naturally trumps offense most of the time in Rocket League. So if your teammate is left to do a 50-50 alone, well, that's a 50% chance to get scored on. And that is a huge percentage to risk, leading us to tip number 2. Never challenge without support. If we're reducing the number of times our teammates have to challenge alone, then we shouldn't either. If you find yourself as the last man back and you need to play the ball, do your best to not go for the challenge unless you're 100% certain you're going to come out on top. There are a couple other options you can go for. You could shadow defend and force a dribble situation, which kind of slows the game down, letting your teammates get a chance to get behind you. You could go for a fake challenge, make them give the ball and then take possession. Or you can just go back to the net and play goalie until your teammates return. Okay, I know what you're thinking. My teammates don't rotate, so they're never going to get back behind me. Okay, well then in that situation, you definitely shouldn't challenge. The only option you have at that point is to go all the way back and then let your teammate challenge, which will give you a chance to actually set up tip number 1, backing up your teammate as they go to challenge. So if they ball chase, the solution is easy. Just don't go in and bait your teammates to go for bad challenges so that you can get possession of the ball. In conclusion, don't challenge alone. I want to reiterate that solo challenges on your team are a 50% chance to get scored on, which is insanely high. So between covering your teammates' challenges or stalling to make sure your challenges are covered, we need to avoid solo challenges at all costs. Getting into tip number 3. How often do you think your teammate is playing either kind of slow or he's hesitating and just seems a bit reluctant to hit the ball? Well, he's probably confused. And he's hesitating because he's not sure whether he should go for the ball or if you are. So for tip number 3, we're going to focus on reducing confusion by using far post rotations. If you're unfamiliar with what far post rotations are, it basically just means whenever you're rotating back, let's split the field in half. And whichever side the ball is not on, we want to be rotating on that side. Since the goalpost on that side is further from the ball than this goalpost, we call this a far post rotation. My tips to hit champ video goes over far post rotations, so if you weren't familiar with them previously, then please check out that video first. It's the first tip, so you can just watch the first 2 minutes of it and pop back over to this one. So how do far post rotations actually help reduce confusion? To answer that, we need to look at some footage, but from your teammate's perspective. Let's say you just finished making a play. If you rotate back on the same side as the ball, look how close you are to that ball. Your teammate would have no idea if you're actually rotating out or if you're just gonna go again, causing your teammate to have to either risk a double commit or hesitate and wait till you confirm you're actually leaving. Because as of right now, he has no way of actually knowing what you're planning to do in a situation like this. On the other hand, say this is you, and you rotate out far post after your play. Look how clear that ball is to your teammate. There is no question that this is his ball to take. Using far post rotations is like using your turn signal. You can make the game easier on your teammates by improving communication, even without the use of comms. So don't be a and rotate far post whenever possible. For the last solo queue tip of the day, we're going to try to implement a safer offense. Try to set up your passes nice and high so that you can start rotating back by the time your teammates push in. Also, you can try taking shots or passing from further back, because that means you have a shorter rotation back to your half if you need to. Another way to tighten up your offense, especially in twos, is to focus more on recentering the ball than actually shooting it. If we look at the basic threes offense, we have the passer, the shooter, and the guy playing midfield who focuses on recentering and handling enemy clears. In twos, however, if you're waiting for a teammate pass, you have to choose to either play the shooting role or the midfielder. A common mistake is players who take the shot way too often, instead of focusing on handling the clear. If you're one of those players, I want you to try swapping the percentage and focus more on recentering than shooting, because if your shot makes you overcommit, your offense is over. You put your teammate in a 2v1 situation, and if you're watching this video, you probably don't trust your teammate to do a 2v1. Having a more patient offense will actually put more pressure in the long run, because eventually you'll fish out a mistake, and that's when you should strike. Be patient and focus on pressure instead of scoring until you either get a whiff, a near post rotation, or they become boost starved. Focusing on the midfielder role will greatly help to prevent those solo challenges we mentioned in tips 1 and 2 a couple plays down the road. Alright, we've made it to our live examples. To get the footage, I hopped on alts that range from gold to champ 1 and solo queued a bunch of games so I could put myself in unfortunate situations and show you guys how I handled them. Part of solo queuing relies heavily on reading not just your opponents, but your teammate as well. You can see that this teammate, 10 seconds into the match, already double commits on my challenge. So the next time we're in a situation where we're both about to go in, I'm gonna wait and bait him to go in instead, forcing tip number 1 and supporting his challenge. But honestly, a lot of that is just baiting your teammate to go in, letting them lose, and then you get to take possession of the ball. So if you're dealing with the ball chasing teammate, let him. A lot of challenges suck to go for it anyways, so if he's willing to take the bullet from me, I'd happily take possession. Here's another clip with the same teammate. Knowing he's probably going to ball chase, how do you attack if you're trying to stay patient and you're just letting the ball chase? For that, I'll use tip number 4 and hang back in the midfield more. Let him do the risky plays in the corner and capitalize on the easy possession gains. In this game, I've noticed my teammate overcommitting to offensive pushes, so again, I'm going to focus on playing the midfield. But also, when it's time for me to play the ball, I recognize that he isn't behind me and my challenge would be unsupported, so I'll follow tip number 2 and do my best to slow the game down using shadow defense until he is behind me, and eventually I get the chance to push the ball into our corner safely. Alright, for our last example, I believe this footage is champ 1 and I'm on the offensive, but as soon as I see my teammate get a bit overeager, I back out as quick as possible. I don't fight him for the ball, but instead, I'm going to prioritize tip number 1 and make sure whatever play he wants to make will be properly covered, allowing me to make it in time for the save. If you made it this far, I hope you found this helpful, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, so I know you'd like to see more. Also, if you want to help me spread the channel, then send this to all your bad teammates. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.